Tonight on Honey Badger Radio. Ask the Badger anything. We'll be answering whatever questions you pose us. The show audio will be available for download after the live broadcast at www.honeybadgerbrigade.com. Thank you for your kind attention and Badger out.
Like a furry torpedo to the jugular. This is Honey Badger Radio, radio with bite.
Hello and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. Tonight's topic is Ask the Badger Anything. We've got a wonderful show, lots of stuff. And as always, we've got our wonderful cast members. We've got Allison Tiemann. Hey, Allison.
Hi, my name is Allison Tiemann. Some people know me as Typhon Blue. I ran Gender Attic for a while, and I currently help run Honey Badger Brigade blog site. And I used to I guess I founded this, found with whatever, communal founding of this show. And currently I'm working on a webcomic called Xenospora, that's with an X, xylophone, ox, X, Xenospora.com. It's a science fiction story that explores a lot of men's issues. So it's a new way of presenting men's issues. And I'll throw that back to Rachel to introduce the next person.
Thank you, Allison. We've got Crystal Garcia. Crystal, how are you?
Crystal.
I got the mute button on. I'm good. We've reached almost 25, well, we're nearing almost 2,500 signatures on the petition for having a UN men in the United Nations, which you can find on my Twitter. It is stapled to the top. I don't know another wording for that. Anyway, which is Crystal Garcia, which is Kristal, and please sign and share. Once we reach 5,000 signatures, I will be in front of the UN with a bullhorn.
Awesome. And we've got the lovely Hannah Wallen.
Hello. I am the author of Breaking the Glasses, which I have neglected for about a month now. And I also have some writing on the Honey Badger Brigade website, and A Voice for Men, and Gender Attic, and mensrights.ca, and a YouTube channel called Breaking the Glasses, and a badly neglected Tumblr called Breaking the Glasses. A little bit redundant there, but in any case, I'm everywhere.
Awesome. And as always, I am your host, Rachel Edwards. We've got a lot of wonderful topics tonight. But first, let's discuss shortly a recent event. Yes, KSU. Gosh. Oh, God, Allison. Anyway. Yes, we had a wonderful mini conference out in K-Summit. It was Kennesaw, Georgia, at Kennesaw State University with the wonderful Sage Gerard, who kicked a whole lot of ass. Holy shit! It was amazing. Your comments, Hannah?
I think it went really, really well. It was absolutely fabulous to see everybody there and to see everybody speak. And Sage has really, really lived up to the whole gender myth there. He was practically on fire. That was awesome.
A ginger on fire.
I heard actually received some apologies from the feminist students that had opposed him.
Yes.
Did you guys actually?
Hell froze over, as well as other things. It was really cold. You can ask Karen. She was borrowing my jacket to go out for a smoke. It was wonderful.
No, but
what happened with the feminists? It started out, there was a whole table full of them in the middle of the room, and and like people would speak, and everyone in the room except the feminists would applaud certain points that were made. Obviously, you know, when they would say something that is particularly hits home with men's rights activists, especially men who have been marginalized or abused or discriminated against in some way or another, that was when the feminists would all put their heads down and be like, nah, I'm not clapping for this. And then actually Sage's mom stood up and stated some criticisms about the speakers in the conference. And Sage, in response, made an epic speech, just absolutely epic, in which he pointed out all of the things that KSU Men has done and all of the reasons why feminists have presented themselves as hurdles to those achievements, and that is why, feminism needs to be discussed and everything. And afterwards, in the Q&A session afterwards, there was, by that time, I should say, some of the feminists left. Some of the feminists at the table left. But by that time, there were just 3 left. One of them actually stood up and apologized for many of the things that that had occurred, many of the little hurdles that they had put up in front of the KSU Men effort to basically just exist. And she said she was sorry that all those things happened, and expressed willingness to start trying to work together, and said that she would still be there. So that was kind of an interesting new thing, that they were willing to, not all of them, but that some of them were willing to admit that not everything about their movement has been positive, and not everything that they've done has been justified and right. And it was neat to see some young women stand up and actually, even if they didn't take full accountability or full responsibility, they were interested in confronting the issue and doing something about it.
Yeah, a lot of them were the sort of coffee shop variety feminists. They were very sort of cute and cuddly, and I kept saying they were so adorable. They came out almost like in costume. Some of them. One of them was vaguely dressed up like Rosie the Riveter in her little kerchief thing on her head. It was so cute. But the problem is with all this, even though they apologized, it was the actions of the faculty. It was not things that they directly had anything to do with. It was the stuff that the faculty did, which means that the faculty on campus is still toxic and is not going to own up to what they did, to the way that they defamed Sage and drug his name through the mud. I mean, those are some false police reports out there, okay, that were filed against him. It's ridiculous. And I don't know how many people outside of our circle have met Sage, but he is not what I would call somebody who is irrational or, he's not Paul Elam. He's not this towering man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he's very diplomatic.
Not that Paul is irrational or anything.
No.
No.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying,
but he's not intimidating.
He's not intimidating. He's very diplomatic, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's like, what's the word I can use to describe my words? Are leaving. He's not intimidating, but I can see how Paul, even though he's kind of a teddy bear, is.
He's gonna hate you for saying that.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
But that's true. Paul, he's on the planet.
He's a very, very tall guy. He's huge. I can imagine how people could see him and be terrified if they had never spoken to him before. But and that it's just so completely ridiculous. I mean, if I had to make a list of the people that I would say, were the type to, be considered to be, imposing, it would not be, him.
Well, most of the guys that we
most of the
know
people
from
we know are nice.
I'm sure
very
they probably
nice guys.
can be, but they're the whole kitten-eating crew there.
Yeah,
but
there was a lot of them. I think there was about 3 people out of the group of feminists that actually said anything at all. Most of them stayed quiet, like you could hear a pin drop in the room. It was not for a couple of our folks coming up to ask questions and Danny Pennyboy. Oh God. But yeah, it was a great conference. Met a lot of wonderful folks, and I was happy to be there. So.
I also heard that a bunch of people drove down to actually see you guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had fans there. I got to talk to several people. It was really wonderful getting to talk to the people that came to visit at the table.
Yeah, so they came to see the honey badgers essentially. Eh?
Well, yeah, that and the conference.
Yeah.
We had
Well,
they did go in and listen to the speeches and everything, but it
Oh,
was
yeah.
it was really awesome that people just they came over and I got all kinds of hugs, which was awesome,
Yeah, badger
and
hugs.
got to talk to everybody and got to hear a little bit about why they were there, and it was really neat. It was neat talking to you guys that came to visit us.
Yeah. Shout out to all you guys, and also you out there, Jace. You have a magnificent jacket. It was awesome. Just saying. You looked great in that coat.
Okay, but we have like a ton of questions.
All right, yeah. Oh, sorry. All right, getting on to topic. Let's see here. Since there's so many, let's see. Hannah, do you need me to send it to you, or do you want me to just read down the page?
You mean the news or the questions? What are we doing first?
The news. Just do about 3 of them from the top, and then I will read the rest because there's a lot. We'll split it in half.
Well, I do.
Do you need the?
Actually, want to read the one Marshall wrote.
Okay, you can read
that
one.
one's third from the top or not.
Read the one you want. It's the one where it's Gamergate.
I want to read that one first, actually.
All right, go on.
Kelly McKenzie for Austin District 6. Kelly McKenzie is running for office, a position in Austin, Texas, on the District 6 City Council. Miss McKenzie was born and raised in District 6. At only age 28, she is a runway and commercial model disaster scientist, certified firefighter, and former appointee of the Governor Rick Perry at the Governor's Committee for People with Disabilities. As if that weren't enough to make you want to cheer elite skills, wait till you hear this. She's also an extremely outspoken supporter of Gamergate. If you've been living under a rock for the past few months, Gamergate is an epic saga of political intrigue, gruesome attacks, mercenary warfare, and the struggle of a small number of very mistreated individuals fighting back against a vastly outnumbering enemy force. I know it sounds like a trailer for the movie 300, but this time without mutant sex scenes, aside from the occasional Rule 34 anyway. Kelly has been Gamergate's most public defender, aside from perhaps Based Mom, Christina Hoff Summers for the uninitiated. She's been battling social justice warriors, feminists, and media attacks for months on Twitter and in Q&A interviews non-stop. Just like everyone else of note in the Gamergate camp, she's had death threats and rape threats thrown at her across several mediums. Attacks which she has dutifully deflected with all the grace and poise of a sword-and-board runaway Dovahkiin. And most certainly without the stereotypical trope danceling, which Anita Sarkeesian loathes in video games, yet personifies in real life. When interviewed, young Miss Kelly stated, "I do what I feel is right, and if I do what I feel is right in my heart, and I stick to the facts and the truth of the situation, at least from my point of view, then nothing anybody can say will ever tear me down." Kelly says, "No one in Austin is going to vote for me based on how I believe in ethics and gaming journalism. I think I can state how I feel about this and make sure that the right issue is heard. I'm not in this for personal gain," she adds. "I play games. I play video games. I want to see the right things done." Well, Miss Kelly McKenzie, as one gamer to another, keep calm and pawn the noobs.
Pwn the noobs.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I had to get it together. Just kidding.
I've always pronounced it pawn. You know, it actually comes from chess.
Pwned.
Our own.
Okay. Oh wait. All right. I wanted to say a couple things to this because I read that article. First of all, it is a case in point of sleazy journalism, where they actually compared Gamergate to Jerry Sandansky. Did I say that right? Sandansky?
Sandusky, I think it was.
Sandusky, yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, they did.
Yeah, and it's like they compared her support to Gamergate to supporting a serial pedophile. And it's like, that's just sleaze. That's just sleazy journalism. And the contempt that they showed for this woman was, I mean, it was bullying. I mean, essentially, they are bullying from their high horse, from their pulpit, this woman. The entire, almost the entire article was bullying, and yet they say, "Oh, we're against bullying women." Well, what do you think you're doing?
Oh gosh, yeah, it's completely ridiculous, and I'm actually happy to see somebody who is pro Gamergate coming into the spotlight and speaking on our behalf. It's fantastic. There's a lot of people doing it, and I'm just so glad to see her just not give any fucks at all about all this stuff that they're trying to run her name through the mud again. It's ridiculous.
Can I add another thing? Is she doing this in order to get Gamergate into the press? Because it seems to me that she knows that she doesn't really have a chance to win on this particular platform. So I get the sense
I honestly don't know.
I get the sense that she's actually doing this to try to break the press embargo against Gamergate. In a way, but that might be an incorrect interpretation.
Either way, I mean, from what I understand and from what I've gathered over the past couple days, the rumor around, and I think it's more than a rumor at this point, is that there is a full investigation happening right now into Gamergate, both sides. So if you are doing anything illegal, cut that shit out right now. Because the FBI, the FTC, and the Department of Homeland Security are totally all over this. It's you do not want a party van coming to your house, so cut that shit out. Just saying.
Okay, but wait a second. Isn't it the anti-Gamergate side that ended up doxing?
Well, yes, but I'm saying that there's a possibility that there's these third-party individuals who are trolling both sides, and that is what is happening. But it appears, if you've done anything, and when I say anything that is questionable in how you have obtained information, you could be in trouble. So that's what I'm warning against. If it's the least bit questionable in the way that you've obtained information, yeah, it's I'm just concerned because I know some people are also using, if they're former trolls or if they were formerly involved in anything that they're not supposed to be, and they are going back there to do reconnaissance work. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, to be honest. But yeah, getting off of that. It's gonna happen. Some people are gonna be arrested, from what I understand. These are some heavy charges. I mean, maybe some of these things are gonna be minor, but if a lot of this evidence that has been racked up over time is true about what's happening with a lot of these companies and some of the gaming contests, the indie game competitions, and if those were indeed rigged, you can be sure some people are going to be all over that, and some people are going to be completely ruined. And I'm kind of happy that the thing is, regardless of what's in the media, when you get arrested on federal charges, that's not something you're going to be able to talk your way out of. It's not going to happen. So on. All right, I think we should go on to the next topic. Hannah, are you awake? Hannah, can anyone hear me?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I was actually trying to track something down, and it's been just for a point I need to make, because everybody's giving me crap about the pond thing. Two things, and this is one I remember very vaguely, but I remember a game from back when I was a kid, so this would have been back in the 70s or 80s, when video games were fairly new, where the term PWNED would come up on a screen. It was a chess game, and it would come up on the screen. Now, I'm not a chess player, but my dad used to play all the time, and I would see that occasionally. But also, even in Know Your Meme, it talks about other origins for the term that date back to the 60s and do have to do with chess. So That is where I'm coming from on it. I know the discussed origin in video gaming, in later video gaming, but I do believe the term is actually older. So anyway, but back to the
topic.
Back to the topic at hand.
Yeah, the first two articles, the first
from
two
the top.
summaries. All right.
Former Ravens cheerleader sexually assaults a minor. Molly Shattuck, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Former Ravens cheerleader is being charged with third-degree rape and sexual contact with a minor after forcing herself on a 15-year-old boy. The 47-year-old mother of three was the oldest professional cheerleader in the NFL before retiring. She reportedly targeted a 15-year-old boy on Instagram and engaged in grooming behaviors meant to lure him into sex. They arranged meetings which involved kissing and fondling. This escalated when she invited the boy to her summer home, where she performed oral sex on him and gave the boy alcohol before performing oral sex on him again. Despite her offer of intercourse, he left her bedroom after the incident and reportedly did not attempt to see her after. An official at the boys' school approached police after hearing of the alleged relationship in late September. She has since been released on an $84,000 bond, and her attorney could not be reached for comment. Did we want to do any discussion on this, or go on to the next one?
I would think that it's amazing that a lot of these places are actually calling it rape, because usually people would try to soften it because, you know, she's a little more attractive or whatever, and they try to say, oh no, you know, that's totally fine. You know, she's 47 years old. There's no dancing around it or saying, oh, it's only a couple years old or any of that crap. She went out of her way to lure a young boy into sex after seeing an attractive picture of him on Instagram, and then she engaged in grooming behaviors that you would find pedophiles doing. And then she got pretty sexually aggressive with him and assaulted him. I would call it assault. I think it would have to be pretty severe, I think, for them to admit it. What was that?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe we should move on to the next topic.
There's not a lot to say about this. It's pretty obvious they need to just own up and call this rape.
Yep, you're right.
But
let's move on.
Next story. An 18-year-old girl receives 6.5-year sentence. That is year, right?
Yes, sorry.
For running a prostitution ring. Kaylee Oliver Mikado received an adult sentence of 6.5 years in prison after trafficking other teenagers via social media. The girl was arrested in 2012 at the age of 15 for leading the operation with two other girls that recruited young girls and forced them into prostitution after drugging and beating them. The Ottawa teen faced 3 years as a juvenile, but due to the severity of the case, she was tried as an adult, receiving a maximum sentence of 6.5 years. The girl gave a tearful apology in the courtroom. No words could ever convey how solemnly sorry I am. I am far from perfect, but I'm definitely not the same girl I was at 15. I realize the pain I inflicted on my victims and their families was extremely wrong, and I will forever live with the guilt and regret of my vile actions. I pray Your Honor take a youth sentence into consideration because, unlike before, I have aspirations for my future, and I am striving to become a better person. The defense is looking to file an appeal.
The reason why this...
that was basically, I'm sorry because I got caught, and I'm going to act like I feel guilty so I get a lighter sentence. Jeez.
And I brought up this story because oftentimes people talk about how most of the pimps are men and how women are almost never a part of this, and yet here's a young girl who drugs and beats young girls after recruiting them via social media to come over someplace and then bully them into performing sexual favors on people for money. And this went on for a while. Yeah. And it destroyed a lot of lives.
Yeah, but
and here they always act like it's men doing this.
You don't want to deny her a future. I mean, she says that this will ruin her chance at a future. I mean, really, you don't want to do that to a young girl. She was crying. How can you do that?
Yeah.
How can you be so mean? Consequences? That's not for women. Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
It's
I
just-
will. I will read the next story because it's quite a doozy. Oh gosh, Lena Dunham's accidental child molestation admission. The actress stirred much controversy with the recent release of her memoir entitled Not That Kind of Girl. Within the story are several disturbing passages that describe what most would consider to be the acts of a childhood sexual predator. The passages describe Lena Dunham investigating her infant sister's genitals, which most would give a pass, as many children engage in those behaviors out of curiosity. The place where it draws the line is where Lena describes her relationship with her sister in ways that could be seen as obsessive, manipulative, and predatory. Quote, as she grew, I took to bribing her for her time and affection. $1 in quarters if I could do her makeup like a motorcycle chick. 3 pieces of candy if I could kiss her on the lips for 5 seconds. Whatever she wanted to watch on TV if she would just relax on me. Basically, anything a sexual predator might do to woo a small suburban girl, I was trying. Unquote. And then here's another one. Here's another passage. This is not the one where she's looking at the genitals, but this is just another one that's just as disturbing. Quote, I shared a bed with my sister Grace until I was 17 years old. She was afraid to sleep alone and would begin asking me around 5 p.m. every day whether she could come sleep with me. I put on a big show of saying no, taking pleasure in watching her beg and sulk. But eventually, I always relented. Her sticky, muscly little body thrashed beside me every night as I read Anne Sexton, watched reruns of SNL. Sometimes even I slipped my hand into my underwear to figure some stuff out. Unquote. Lena Dunham has since apologized for the remark concerning the comparison to herself as a predator, and is threatening to sue truthrevolt.org, a conservative news publication, for posting the quotations. Even more disturbing, she cannot see that of the passages in question, the one where she describes investigating her sister's genitalia is the least disturbing of the 3. Her sister has since spoken out against heteronormativity, blaming that for the controversy. Does anybody want to say anything about this? Because where do you begin?
I would tend to agree. I mean, you can excuse the first as just, youthful, just curiosity. But the rest does start to move into the territory of being manipulative and sociopathic. I don't know. What do you think, Hannah?
Well, the one thing I want to point out here is if this was a man writing about something he had done as a little boy to his little sister or even his little brother, he would be crucified. He would be eviscerated. He'd be burned at the stake. There would be no question in people's minds, this guy is an absolute scumbag and we need to get him out of wherever he is and we need to do something about this because he's probably still dangerous today and don't let him around your children. And, but since it's a woman and since it's a popular woman in some circles, it's not getting that kind of attention consistently. There's some groups that are talking about it in terms of molestation and in terms of being very creepy, even if they're not saying molestation. But either way, it looks to me like she exposed her sister to some pretty disturbing and, development-altering stuff. And I would say that it was probably something that she should be embarrassed that she's admitted to, and I don't think she has any business criticizing people for criticizing her, much less reacting like she needs to sue. It's not slander to criticize something that you've told about yourself.
I must chime in and just think of the I don't even want to say the word irony. I'm not sure irony is appropriate. This is the same woman who starred on an SNL skit about MRAs.
Yep.
Right, I remember that.
Yep, she did, and
remember
she
that.
also has been.
I think
quoted
she
as
wrote
having-
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did.
yeah,
Ugh.
and she's also been. She had that other passage from her book where everybody was saying she was raped when she wasn't actually raped because she was calling a situation that she participated in a rape.
This is, yeah. This tells you everything you need to know about this woman and about the ideology she professes to others. That she goes on SNL, writes that skit, stars in that skit, trying to make fun of MRAs, and then turns around and does this. I mean, how does this make her any different from Simone de Beauvoir, or whatever her name is, or Germaine Greer, or any of these other...
Simone de Beauvoir?
Yeah, that one. Or, hey, what about...
The Vagina Monologues.
What about our...
Eslin.
What about our favorite
Yeah.
Canadian professor?
Adelaide Mercier, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but don't you know, James? When it's a woman on a girl, it's a good
Especially
rape.
Magical, it's a good rape. Yeah.
It's a good
All
one.
right, everybody. It's Simone de Beauvoir
Yeah,
and it's Eve Ensler.
Yeah.
her, yeah.
And there needs to be a
Let's
trope
get
for
the
this.
pronunciation right.
There needs to be a trope for this. The magic lesbian rape fairy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Because
God.
it's like, seriously, there needs to be a trope for the creepy older woman who takes it upon herself to show some young girl the way. This is the magic lesbian rape fairy.
Oh gosh.
Agreed. That because that seems to be, if it was rape, it was a good rape.
It's fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have her talking about how she admits to masturbating beside her sister who's asleep. Okay, like with her hand in her pants. I mean, figuring some stuff out. Really, there's no talking your way out of that. It's showing this sort of mentality, this behavior where you don't see this as problematic, and you see her sister blames heteronormativity for this, and not the fact. Yes, I know. She says the reason why everybody's upset is because of heteronormativity. No, lady.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, they're like, no, lady. The reason why people are fucking upset is because you don't do that to your sibling, and when your parents see that kind of shit, they're supposed to step in and say, no, that's fucking inappropriate.
If what's her name? If freaking what's her name was a boy when he did this, you can be guaranteed that there would be a much stronger response from general society. There would be a much stronger condemnation. In fact, I forget where it was that I read it, the term bosom friends, right? Bosom friends was sort of a reference to sort of that two preteen or just pubescent girls practicing kissing and things like that, right? So that sort of sexual exploration between two female friends who would be, sort of in that highly emotional, romantic-minded stage of puberty, and it's not okay for them to do those things with the boys, so they would practice on each other, right? That, that's always been accepted. You don't get beheaded, you didn't get hanged in the United Kingdom 150 years ago for making out with a girl, right? Give me a break. Like this whole thing with it's heteronormativity and therefore it's lesbophobic, right? Yeah, no, it's not lesbophobic because society really isn't that lesbophobic. Not even remotely close to how homophobic they are about gay men.
Well, I mean, you could make the argument like 2,000 years ago, society was lesbophobic, but lesbosphobic, sapphobic, something like that.
I don't know.
Maybe the whole sapphobic, lesbosphobic thing was just understanding female nature. Maybe there was a lesbian separatist fucking movement going on at the time. Maybe Lesbos was like Rad Fem Hub.
But this isn't even lesbos. This is pedophilia. There's a difference. So she's turning in
It's not pedophilia.
heteronormative,
Well,
It's
it's
and
not
it's
really
not
pedophilia if
heteronormative.
it's not pedophilia if you're also
a child.
if you're also a minor. But the thing that most people don't understand is that sex abuse isn't something necessarily that always happens when the person is an adult. There are sex predators who are young people, and and when basically what happens is oftentimes when these children are neglected, most people will come in and correct that behavior and say, no, you don't do that. But in some situations, it doesn't get corrected. And
Right. Well,
they
this
continue
is
on
where
before they get caught.
All right,
Right, well,
Rachel.
just the thing is it's an abusive situation. And whether it's not, if it's not called pedophilia, it's still sexual abuse.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with heteronormative. It has to do with if this is happening between whichever gender child and another gender child, it's not okay. I mean, I've seen this happen where there's been parents discussing, okay, there's a disturbed child who is trying to do things with other children that is not appropriate, and it's not something that's like, oh, let's play doctor. It's something that is really, there's something continuously wrong with, happening with this kid. That's an issue, and yes, exactly, it needs to be addressed where it wasn't addressed. It has nothing to do with being, heteronormative. It's, she's pulling out these labels that have nothing to do with the fact that she's actually abused.
Well, it's the same thing as the Caitlin Hunt thing, where you had the 18-year-old woman with I think she was
14 when she started, yeah.
14, and a lot of people called that homophobia, right? And yeah, you call it homophobia because this 18-year-old girl is being treated the way any 18-year-old boy would be, right? And so that makes it homophobia. Give me a break, right? Like
Karen,
the 18-year-old boy would be treated exactly the same way under the law.
There was one actually that happened at
there
that time that was treated the same under the law.
There wouldn't be an outcry. There would not be an outcry of this is an injustice. How can you put this 18-year-old girl in prison?
He was actually treated as a pedophile. He was actually treated very severely under the law. At this, and it happened at the same time. I can't remember the name, but it was discussed on Reddit. There was a simultaneous news story about a boy, an 18-year-old boy.
Yes, of course there was. There are a million stories like that across the West. There are a million.
The reason it made news was I think he was in a different state from the state where the event happened. He was in a different state, and they had to extradite him or something.
Okay,
there was something they had to go get him.
Karen, the reality, you have to this is a world in which if you treat a woman like you treat a man, it's misogyny. Yeah. So it's like that's you treat this woman, this lesbian sexual predator like you would treat a man. It's of course homophobia because
I'm not even prepared. I'm not even prepared to say that Caitlin Hunt is a lesbian sexual predator. I'm really not. I'm not prepared to say that every relationship between an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old is a predacious one. I'm really not. I have the feeling that her parents did not approve, and because of the way the laws are with age of consent, and no Romeo-Juliet clause, or the Romeo-Juliet clause didn't cover it, right? That it was her parents. I'm not prepared to say that Caitlin Hunt was a predator in that relationship. An 18-year-old and a 14-year-old. I can live with that. I can ascribe enough autonomy to a 14-year-old, to sort of know that they want to be in a relationship with somebody, right? I'm prepared to do that and not think that the 18-year-old is a predator. But if it was a boy and a 14-year-old girl, it would be treated more harshly, as harshly or more harshly, and there would not be any outcry.
Yes, exactly. But we need to move on because we've got to be tight. We've got to get to the test.
Tight. All right.
Yes.
I got one more. Yes, one more. All right, Jessica Valenti's solution to the gender pay gap.
Oh, God.
I've left the best for last, you guys. Our favorite mainstream misandrist is up to her usual shenanigans. Jessica Valenti's articles are usual... Jessica Valenti's article, as usual, are shameless clickbait. Often it's difficult to tell whether or not she's being intentionally radical to anger people, or if she's so detached from reality that she doesn't understand how this is bad for business. Her recent article discusses how she believes that the way to solve the wage gap is not through getting women to take higher paying full-time jobs. That would be far too reasonable. Things like that don't bring in clicks. So how does Jessica bring in the cold hard cash? Well, she suggests that we pay men less and women more. You heard me right. Jessica Valenti, the woman who paraded around in her infamous I bathe in male tears sweater, wrote that we should pay men less money. Then instead of riding the delusion train all the way to the station and committing to the insanity of that statement, she acknowledges the ridiculousness of it and backpedals. Quote, given the legal roadblocks, cutting men's salaries to offer women more may not be a realistic vision for pay fairness, but the World Economic Forum just reported that we won't see worldwide gender equality until approximately the year 2095. At that rate, women will be riding around on hoverboards before they're making the same amount as their male counterparts, unquote. This is your weekly reminder that this woman receives a higher salary than most of us will see in our lifetimes to write this mindless drivel. Keep it classy, Jessica. Discuss.
Okay. Like,
Twas me. I said Crystal.
Yes, Crystal, you go first.
Okay, so this is the most insane extremist crap, and the fact that it's not even presented as the most insane extremist fact continues to show precisely where we are in our society, where this shit is even taken as not being seen as the most insane extremist crap I've ever seen. Oh my God. Please give men slave labor because patriarchy. I can't. All right,
Well,
that's all I have to say.
It goes beyond that, Crystal. It goes beyond that because she's not saying you guys take the lesser paying job. She's saying you do the same job, but you get paid less so that women can get paid more.
Oh God, I can't.
Go on, Allison. Sorry.
Okay, Crystal, I'm going to blow your brain even more. They're bringing the UK proposal to remove women's prisons to the states. They're now talking about, and feminists are now talking about it in the states. So not only do they want to make it legally by law that women have to be paid more, they also wanted to remove the possibility of women going to jail. And this is
oh my God, holy fuck, what the fuck?
Yeah, at this point, it's like, how can you not see them as a supremacy movement? It's like, you could almost make the argument when they created a class of citizen with the vote, but no expectation of the service to the state in wartime, and that is essentially making men into second-class citizens by any logical measure. But you could sort of you go two ways on that, right? Maybe a little bit of wiggle room, maybe not. I think not, but I can entertain the possibility that some people might think there's some wiggle room there. There's no wiggle room in these suggestions. There's none. You are trying to make it illegal to pay women more than men or encourage it, and you're trying to close down women's prisons. You are a supremacy movement. And your excuse of patriarchy only makes it that much more important that we analyze your claims with great logical rigor. Because there have been many, many, many movements or so-called movements throughout history that alleged that certain groups were so all-powerful, thus justifying taking their rights away. And that's exactly what you're doing right now. And it usually doesn't end up being really the right thing to do.
Oh God.
Yeah,
There's no way.
it's pretty ridiculous. And here's the thing that she was referencing, saying that they won't be able to close the gap until 2095. That was looking at a consistent gap, different wage gaps depending on, like, I think it was by the country. But the thing about it is if you see a gap in like every single friggin' country, why don't you think maybe it has to do, maybe it's biological, maybe it's that they just make different employment decisions. I simply don't know how they look at this and they say, oh guys, don't you know that the answer for every fucking country on the planet not having equal pay is misogyny. I don't.
This is really irritating. All they have to do is earn hazard pay. If they want to in the wage gap, earn hazard pay, earn shift differentials, earn the same things that men earn. If they can't do that, then they don't deserve equal pay. They're not earning it. They're not equal.
I'm not gonna say that the assumption that it's misogyny and that it's that this is caused by misogyny, that's a ridiculous assertion because this thing that is supposedly caused by misogyny is, across cultures, right? I'm not going to say that that's a ridiculous assertion because of that, because there are lots of human universals, and if we're going to accept that there are human universals and some of them are biological, misogyny could be one of them, right? Absolutely could be, but I don't think so. Not from every single thing that I have looked at that is also cross-cultural, right? Every other single thing that I have looked at, the homeless rate, the workplace death rate, the death in war rate, the rape victims nobody cares about rate, or the rape victims, we wish would get, raped again rate, all of those things, right, don't indicate misogyny. They indicate the opposite.
Hey, can I just interject since I had my name out there? But okay, if they're going to propose that the wage gap in and of itself is indicative of oppression, they have to account for the fact that there have been societies in history in which slave classes earned a larger wage than the people who owned them. And I'm not necessarily talking about antebellum South. I'm talking about the Ottoman Empire, the Roman Empire. There have been slave classes in history that earned more than the people who were supposedly free and not slaves. Or alternatively, they were the children of slaves who were treated in only the way that slaves could be treated to turn them into a class of people that could be trusted to never do anything but really support the empire on the whole. And it's like, if you're going to propose that a wage gap is always indicative of oppression, then you're essentially saying that in those societies, slaves were oppressing their masters. But you'd have to ignore the fact that the government stepped in after the slave earned his or her wage and then gave it to somebody else. So if you ignore government transfer of income or government transfer of funds from one group to another, then you're ignoring a huge part of the picture. And it's like, you can't just baldly assert that a wage gap indicates that one group is disenfranchised unless you account for other factors. So if the feminists are going to assert that the wage gap is indicative of disenfranchisement, first of all, they can't assert that it's indicative of enfranchisement just in of itself because that's completely illogical. They have to also prove that there isn't a large wealth transfer going from group man to group woman via the government.
This is one of the things that Warren Farrell consistently has brought up for the last 30, 40 years, right? That we define power as the power to earn money that other people spend while we die sooner. This is the definition of male power, right? To go out and work and earn money that other people spend while we die sooner.
Okay, I will throw out one statistic to support that. In the province that you live in, Karen, I believe the statistic is that men women get 200 times the government funding that men get. So they're getting 200 times the amount of money from the government that men get. And yet men pay something like 75% of the taxes.
There was a gentleman on Reddit. He said that he had been tasked with basically he worked for the government. He'd been tasked with basically tallying everything up, and he found that the funding for programs for women was in the millions, and the funding province-wide for programs specifically for men was $57,000.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And if they don't account for that, I mean, what's the incentive for women to earn money if they're getting it from somewhere else? I mean, there's no incentive. So you have less incentive, and then you have a situation where the government is taking money from women or men and giving it to women. And if you don't account for that, a wage gap is meaningless. It could just mean that the group in question is more motivated to make money because they don't have a safety net. But if nobody else wants to say anything on that, I just wanted to bring up another article that you guys might have heard of or read. White men don't catcall, they harass in other ways. Did any of you guys read this?
No, I did not see that.
No.
At all.
Okay,
I didn't read that, but I did read how the data was pretty screwed up, how they messed it up when they were tallying it. That was the catcalling video, right, where the woman walked around for 10 hours. Yeah, I have an article that
catcalls on one street in Harlem.
Yep, pretty much.
Which she probably walked up and down several times to get the footage that they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Kerstel, you've been sort of covering that 10-hour video, right? I mean, this is related to it. They're talking about the fact that it was mostly minority men who were catcalling. And I just wanted I just wanted to bring out this one paragraph. It's just white men, on the other hand, no use for that sort of catcalling. She's essentially saying that minority men need to catcall because they're trying to defend their territory. They've marked their territory centuries ago, so instead their sexual harassment is less invasive. They do it in bars, at parties, at the frat row, at your local college campus, in boardrooms, and other places men of color are never privy to, at least not in positions of power. I've walked into parties thrown by traditionally white fraternities and bars with a diverse crowd, and white guys have gawked at me ever so slightly, engaging with me as they would an exotic animal at the zoo.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
You don't engage with exotic animals at the zoo unless you want to get mauled. Particularly when I'm in a group with other women of color. They circle us, giving off cues to dance in a way that suggests it's nothing more than a social experiment for them. It's as if they're wondering, what is it really like to dance with a black girl? And white men harass, sometimes most crudely, online. Particularly as I've experienced when approaching women of color. Well, how do you know that? Whatever. It sounds like they just were shyly trying to dance with her.
Okay, what?
Right. It's all purely her stories. Like, everything that's going on in her head is in her fucking head, and she's made it a reality.
Well, she's trying to make it a reality. She's trying to make herself out of victim, but she's trying to make herself out of being a victim of being slightly gawked at or slightly leered. You know, like usually we call that being looked at, not leered.
We call that other people have eyeballs.
Yeah, you know, they had eyeballs and they briefly grazed over my form.
Their eyeballs did things I didn't want them to. Those bastards.
Stay rape.
Yeah. But you know what I find amazing about that whole video and all of the discussion around it, and the fact that most of the people who were deemed to be harassers, I think there were only 2 that I would qualify as harassers, and the rest were just men showing interest and taking no for an answer, or taking no response for a no and taking that for an answer. But you know, when you look at that, something like that, and feminists, you know, and the progressives, leftists, feminists, right? All of these, you know, as much as we don't want to make it a left-right issue, and it isn't in many, many ways, but when you look at what their ethic supposedly is, as far as cultural relativity, right? That there are no cultures that are better than other cultures, right? So, okay, so what if, let's just hypothetically presume that maybe black men and Hispanic men are more likely to present their sexuality in a way that is overt and in a way that engages passersby on the street, in a way that is shameless, that is, in your face, blah, 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 right? That is their cultural norm. Whatever happened to cultural relativity?
Well,
right?
okay.
Because all of these progressives and these leftists and these feminists are like, you can't judge other cultures. All cultures are equal. All cultures are equally valid. All cultures are equally good, except when that culture, wags its junk at white women.
Okay, Karen, I think in this article we are seeing their attempt to try.
Yeah, their attempt to say that, well, white men are just as bad.
Yeah, but
they just hide it better.
Yeah. Well, actually, I wanted to pull out because this article is beautiful, if not for the wave of sarcastic commentary in below it in the comments, which is just, I mean, you got to read it. It's just, and I'm gonna pull out one comment that I just thought was fantastic. This is from Inherent Wisdom. So let me get this straight. In explaining why there isn't an equal number of white men and black men interacting with women on the street, here's the author's suggestion. A conspiracy where white men have conquered the mystical world of social clubs, universities, and boardrooms, specifically excluding black men for the sole purposes of isolating women in a non-colored environment where they can harass them covertly. Eye contact, hellos, and the clever coy sitting in Starbucks across the room and not noticing her, but really raping her with his thoughts until she is afraid to go get on the bus alone deal. Are the Bilderbergs involved in this too? It's like, it gets to that level of just...
Oh, yeah. Like I've said before about rape culture and this whole, the entire idea of rape culture is based on personality disordered women with erotomania and delusions of persecution riding the fucking subway. And when that autistic guy who's reading his Nook, he's reading freaking Thomas Sowell on his Nook, and he glances up as she steps on, he wants to rape me. And then he goes back to his book, but he still wants to rape her.
Okay, and they're not objectifying men down to rape sticks. This is not
they're absolutely not. No. How could you think that they would be doing something so horrible, Allison? They're for equality, and they're a humanitarian movement, right? They're not about blaming men or vilifying men or treating men as if they're all responsible for every problem in the world. No, Allison, wherever did you get that idea?
I don't know. I feel ashamed.
I don't know either. You should be ashamed.
Oh, I'm ashamed of my Saganese. My Saganese, they're showing. Yeah. All right. Questions. Let's get to the questions.
All right. We'll get to the questions.
One thing before we get to the questions, Nefenor pointed out in chat, and both Rachel and I've posted it in this chat, and nobody's actually said it on the air. The fact that Alberta, the province Karen and apparently Nefenor are both in, has been right-wing PC for 41 years is proof that men's rights is not a left versus right issue. I think that's a really important point and a really good point to pay attention to.
Okay, it is an important point, but on behalf of Canada, I need to say that our right wing is to the left of Obama.
Yeah.
Wow.
Our right wing is not exactly right wing. It's not what Americans would describe as right wing. We do in Alberta have an alternative right.
No, our right wing isn't necessarily always as far right as they claim to be either.
Our old
Okay,
school.
but guys,
But we
should,
really need to move on. That was
Yes,
simply a good point.
Questions.
we don't need
Lots
to
of
baffle the
questions.
Americans with our weird politics.
Okay, gosh. I'm trying to see questions here. There's still stuff left over from the older thread where we messed up on. And by the way, we're sorry about that, guys. It was a bit of a miscommunication, but we fixed it. Anyway, there's been a lot more talk about traditionalists and MGTOW recently. Isn't it the point of the MRM for everyone to take male issues seriously and not converting people to different mindsets?
This is when I actually, I ended up making a video in response to some of that fighting recently, because I'd seen it everywhere. It's all over. It's on Reddit. It's on A Voice for Men. It's on Twitter. It's everywhere, and YouTube. And it's on one hand, I can understand that the two groups are polarized from each other. But on the other hand, it's an argument that is, in a way, anti-men's right to have, because both sides are kind of trying to dictate to each other, you have to be this way to be an MRA, and you have to be this way in order to survive. And one of the core issues that I've seen with the movement is everybody telling men how to be men, and nobody letting men think for themselves and make their own decisions without having to hear from somebody, you decided on the wrong thing. And I understand giving people advice, saying, hey, I think this is something that you should take into consideration. But to sit there and say, if a man chooses a traditional lifestyle, he's not a men's rights activist. Or if a man chooses to go his own way, he's an extremist. You're losing sight of what the movement is really about. It's not about the Band-Aid solutions that we come up with, which lifestyle choices are a Band-Aid solution. And they may work for you temporarily, they may work for you permanently, but they're not going to solve the problems. And the real focus needs to be on bringing society back to the understanding that men are human, and when we talk about human rights, we're talking about rights that apply to men just the same as they do to everybody else. And that women are human, and when we talk about human accountability, we're talking about accountability that applies to women just the same as it does to men. If we can get those two things settled, everything else will fall into place. So this argument isn't really necessary.
Yeah. The thing that we need to really remember, and this is something I've really thought about a lot, is we have to recognize what really fails about feminism. There's a lot of things that fail about it, but the reason it continues to fail as a movement is because these people are consistently divided. There's so much infighting that it rips them apart into smaller little groups. And what happens is we're at this place where we can go that way, and we can have the group ripped into all these little tiny micro groups that are so opposed to each other that we never get anything accomplished, or we can agree to disagree in order to bring about the greater good, which is to make sure that all of the rights of men and boys are preserved. And that's not going to happen if we continue to fight each other like this. If there's debates about, oh, is this person allowed to be traditional, or are they going to try and co-opt the movement? Okay, there needs to be some balance there, yes. But the thing is that when it comes down to it, when you start telling people how to live their lives, and you say this is what is how you should live as a man, you are defeating the purpose. It's like what Hannah said. You defeat the purpose of this. It's not an understanding of this is what is manly and this is what is not. It's that this lies on a spectrum. There's a bunch of there's many different kinds of men, and there's many different kinds of way to live. You have to allow that to be there. You need that diversity to stay. If you try to homogenize things, you're gonna fuck everything up. So cut that shit out.
Okay, I'll just put in my it's Allison Karen James. I wanted to just say that I agree in respecting people's choices, but at the same time, I think there needs to be some recognition that there is a vulnerability to men to wanting to earn an identity, and that can be exploited very easily, and to the detriment of men. And I feel like if you, in my personal opinion, this is my approach. I want to give my opinion and my observation on the situation and what I see in and how people are manipulated throughout history for example, in slave owning societies, how the slaves are manipulated to serve and to labor and to see themselves in terms of their service and their labor, and how our society has evolved to essentially almost have removed a male identity. I mean, linguistically, we used to have a word that referred specifically to adult male, and that was it. That was wereman. Man itself was just gender neutral. So we've replaced an actual specific identity, linguistic identity for men with this gender neutral human adult. And it's almost like we said that men have no innate identity. They are only an identity through acting. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, if you're trapped in it, that can become very damaging. So my personal approach is to try to give people the tools to analyze these situations and to try to inoculate against being tricked into that kind of service for basically nothing. Like, you shouldn't labor for an identity. I mean, I think that's an exploitation. And I'll cede the floor to Karen.
Actually, you said a lot of what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that I don't know that there is anybody at this point in this argument who's saying you can or can't be an MRA based on this, that, or the other. There have been other arguments in that regard, but not in this one so much. It's MGTOW. Can you be a MGTOW and be married? Right? Can you be married and be a MGTOW? That was really the thing, and sort of people choosing the traditional way. Myself, I don't have an opinion as to which is. I have often said, say what you want about traditionalism, at least it has a track record as far as a functional society and functional children. But I don't know whether it's possible to be a MGTOW and be married, right? I don't know whether it's possible to call yourself a MGTOW and do things, live in a way where there are external forces that will hold you to a certain standard. Right? Whether those forces are your wife or whether those forces are the government, right? I don't know whether that's possible. So, I mean, like, there is something to be argued here. There definitely is. At the same time, it really is a horrible thing to be dealing with. It's like, we are often our own worst enemy, and no matter how much infighting feminism has and feminism engages in, they still have the own group preference. They still have the gynocentric society. So no matter how much they argue amongst themselves, they will still get their way, one way or the other, right? They may have to compromise with the other feminists, but they don't have to compromise with society, right? Men's rights activists have to compromise with, they have to actually convince society that there's even a problem, right? Not even what the problem is, but that there is a problem, right?
Yeah.
And so feminists fighting amongst each other, right? They still manage to get a lot of shit done. Right? Us fighting amongst each other, it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be, oh, we're going to be able to get shit done in spite of this. No, we're not.
Well, at that sort of solemn note, I think you're going to have to mute for the echo reasons there, Karen. I just want to clarify briefly, because there was a question in chat by Nafanor. The name for a male human was wereman. and what's left of that is werewolf, and women were whiffmen. So an adult male human was a wereman, and an adult female human was a whiffman. And man, I think, had somewhat of a connotation of being male, but for the most part, it was a neutral adult human. Which is why, like a couple centuries ago, a feminist professor said it was okay to call all people men, because it was essentially gender neutral. If you call someone a man, linguistically you're saying you are a gender neutral adult. And it's just fascinating to me that we decided collectively that we didn't need a special name for men, because they apparently didn't have a special identity. Their only identity was being an adult, which actually makes a lot of sense. Men's identity is being an adult, women's identity is being, I don't know. Anyway, I'll throw it to James because he's been waiting patiently while I prattle on.
Well, the whole argument reminds me vaguely of some of the feminist arguments that women needed to be a certain way or do a certain thing in order to be supportive of women, of other women. The idea that if you weren't out of the house, if you weren't working, if you didn't send your kids off to daycare, that you were in fact colluding with the patriarchy. I mean, the whole argument that's been going on lately smacks of that kind of bullshit.
Yeah, it's of
does.
ideological.
I would agree. I would agree, yes. And I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I do know the basics of the argument, and it's just what I see here is we cannot survive this kind of infighting. It's not something that's going to happen, because the feminist advantage is they have vagina. And that's why they're going to continue to get these things. We're not going to have that advantage. We're just going to destroy each other. So we've got to sort our shit out.
Actually, I will disagree with you, Rachel. I think that the changes are going to be inevitable. In fact, I think that we are a symptom of a deeper change. And regardless of who ends up talking about these things, this is coming. It's coming, because the way we structure our society is changed so fundamentally. Not only can we start talking about these things, but I think that eventually they will be corrected simply by technology. But I guess I'm a very optimistic thinker. So I think ultimately, you know what? It's not helpful. It's not fruitful. But I'm not as fatalistic. I think that we will survive infighting, and we can move on.
Okay. Anybody else on this?
Next question, I think.
Okay, yes, next question, fine. All right, let's see here. Jeez, does size really matter? Have we answered this question before?
Well,
what? Size of
Yeah,
what?
size of what?
I'm thinking that they mean
cats.
Well, cats are enormous.
Obviously, it depends on what you want your cat for. If you want a cat to guard your house, you want a large cat. A large, like a cat that's, at least 20 pounds. And
Right.
I have a 20
and you definitely want a cat that has no hair that can say, "Oh no."
Does it get cold if it has no hair?
Come into your house, of course.
I mean, you might want to make sure that it wears a sweater if it doesn't have it.
Yeah, okay. But if you want a cat for traveling, you want to go more small and compact. Like I have a small cat for travel, and I have a large cat for home. The large cat is sort of, it establishes my territory. My small cat is my companion while traveling. It's...
This is going to be taken so far out of context.
Yeah.
I could just see that the headline on We Hunted the Mammoth. Allison Tiemann admits she has 2 pussies.
Well, essentially, to summarize, it all depends on the size of the pussy and what you want to do there, right? Okay, I think we should move on.
There we go. No. We have to say, because James put it in the chat and says, "Say it. I don't have a small cock. She has a big pussy."
Say it. Yes,
Yeah, you have to realize no size doesn't matter.
Okay.
Not in the least.
And Kegels will help a great deal.
Yeah, Kegels, that's where it's at.
Go
Intimacy
do your
matters
Kegels.
a lot more than
and
size.
then come back to this question.
Yes. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, yes. Okay, let's see here. Shit. Oh, wait, sorry. I forgot that I was on the air. From what I see, almost, wait, no, never mind. That's not really a... Come on. Okay, question. Sorry.
All right.
Okay, is it possible that the feminists saying they want equality for women is more of a Freudian slip? That what they really want is for all women to get the same treatment as gorgeous upper-class women who have guys volunteering to make their lives easy? All women should be treated equally. Okay?
Right. Yeah, well, that's really, I was talking about this earlier, is the reality that feminists are not talking about is their butthurt all comes from the Highlander mentality. There can only be one. I must be the ultimate vagina on the entire planet, and any guy who does not see me as the ultimate vagina is a misogynist. If every man on the planet does not see me as the ultimate and want to have sex with me, then, therefore, they are misogynists. It's just, it's...
Wait a second.
Freaking...
I'm the ultimate vagina.
Wait, I'm the ultimate vagina. Hello.
No.
My gosh, I have like an awesome vagina, okay? My God.
My vagina it sings, okay? It does karaoke, so I win.
Well, my vagina does advanced mathematics, so I win.
Yeah, well, my
vagina went to space.
My vagina kicks him out and sends him to the back. There you go.
Okay, all right, but you know what? I think we can solve this. We all have the ultimate vagina, except they all do different things. How's that?
Well, my vagina went to space and back, so I win.
Okay, but Crystal's vagina went to space and back, so she wins. Okay.
Wait, is it like a tortoise? Is it like bigger on the inside?
My vagina doesn't really go to space and back. I can't win.
I'm sorry.
Can you put colored balls in randomly and spit them out in given order? James wants to know.
Okay,
That's awful.
Guys,
I think Crystal's vagina wins. I think.
Yes. Now we have the theme song. My vagina. I can get away with singing out of tune when my throat's
guys,
sore.
I need a gavel or something to like beat on my desk so that I can get your guys' attention. Next question.
Next question.
Holy shit. Okay, let's see here, which is a good one. Alright. Hello, Karen. I am a big fan of yours. I have a question. How come people try to downplay statutory rape when a teacher takes advantage of a young boy by saying stuff like, "Oh, lucky guy. If I was his age, I would do the same thing. So, if he didn't like me, he's probably gay. Aw man, the teacher was hot. She shouldn't get jail time?" I don't hear anybody saying the same thing when a girl is the victim without her being crucified, and a little boy or girl being the victims of a statutory rape is equally horrible. Yeah, so there we go.
Why does that happen?
Yes.
A few things. One is that female sexuality is seen as a gift that a woman bestows on someone, and so, like your aunt's handmade Christmas sweater, you're expected to wear it and smile for the camera. That is one of the things. Another one of the things is that female sexuality is seen as inherently harmless. At least in this culture at this moment, it's seen as essentially harmless. It's if it's harmful to anybody, it's harmful to the woman in question or other women. And also that male sexuality is seen as inherently predatory and voracious. Therefore, that 13-year-old boy who gets a stiffy on his way up to do a math problem on the blackboard, if his teacher like decided to tell him to drop trow in front of the whole class, he'd be totally into it, because male sexuality is up for anything. Male sexuality is willing to slum at any time, right? And so it's this confluence of all of these things, female sexuality being seen as not only harmless, but inherently valuable and a gift that a woman bestows, male sexuality as being seen as like predatory, cheap, dirty. You ever hear the term soiled woman? Well, if she got soiled by coming into contact with male sexuality, then who's the really dirty one? Who's the one society considers dirty? Like all of those things. It's the same reason why it's the same reason why circumcision took off in the US and not clitoridectomy. It's the same reason why you could get anti-masturbation devices in the 1920s and 30s that would cause extreme pain for any boy who got an erection. And there was nothing even remotely similar for girls. Like this is how we view sexuality. And because of those things, when a 30-year-old teacher who's even passably attractive preys on a 14-year-old boy, he's supposed to be grateful, because number one, she hasn't harmed him because her sexuality is harmless. Number two, she's given him a gift, and even if it's like that sweater that your aunt knit you, it's certainly not harmful. I mean, it's still a gift, and you should be grateful for it and say thank you. And and he is supposed to be up for anything. He's supposed to be willing to slum at any time, right? These are the narratives that we have going on in our culture right now, and potentially in many, many, many cultures. And so I mean, that would be, those factors would be what I would think would contribute to that.
Yeah, I have to agree. But ooh, okay, I think the echo's gone now. We're talking about moving to Sonia Cepheus question. My question is rather long, but I'll try my best to make it short and clear. How do culturally, socially change girls, women to behave differently? How does it relate to men's, boys' issues, men's rights issues? Because say if by miracle the next year all the legal, lawful wrongs against men and boys were fixed, but women and girls still have the entitlement, men and government save, protect me mentality, then won't it all be in vain or eventually go back? So with that forethought in mind, my question is, how can parents, family, youth, groups, other institutions try to instill good qualities in future girls? Qualities such as fortitude, owning up to mistakes, rational thinking, a drive for financial independence, good saving habits, humility. I believe this is a good conversation to start, because aside from achieving equal treatment of the law for men and boys, there needs to be a cultural, social change in women's behavior. So what are your thoughts and ideas, honey badgers? Do you guys want me to field that, or?
Yeah, you can start. You can start. Go on.
Sure.
I think we all have something to say.
Yeah, I actually think, I know this is going to sound strange, but I'm going to start pulling in some of my social theory ideas. I think that girls, in many ways, gaming might assist girls in learning the kind of mental habits that are associated with the kind of responsibility taking, because gaming is really about achieving a goal and relying upon yourself to achieve that goal. And I think that's, and in fact, I think that what we're seeing right now is the effect of the socialization that happens through gaming on our culture is starting to bring these ideas to the fore. I know this and this may sound a little bit far-fetched. I've actually talked about this for many years what the social effects of gaming will be on this culture, but I think that's one of them. It's going to start to evolve women's identities as they get more and more engaged in it, not to force them to get, or not to force the gaming culture to change for them, but as they adapt to it, those women are going to learn to see themselves more in terms of their achievement than personal passive attributes that they have, such as their sexuality. And I think that's one reason why we see this strong schism between the attitude of women who support Gamergate and who are actually gamers. They are actually focused in the way that gamers are focused on games, in that achievement, in that goal-orientated mentality, versus the women who are trying to take it over and don't particularly like games or don't really want to adapt to that attitude. And that's evident in their behavior because they still see themselves in terms of being victimized, in terms of their passive value. And I mean, you can only see yourself as a victim by assuming that you have passive value to be victimized in the first place. So there's that schism in mentality between women who game and women who don't. And so that's one way I think that some of the positive changes can happen with girls. And I will cede the floor to whoever wants to talk.
Well, I put my name in. Well, the thing is that are we coming from the assumption that women have never been self-reliant or ever acted in ways that were self-reliant in a society? That there have been societies where women did need to step up and be self-reliant. And how do we get that way? Well, you have strong, positive role models. You need women that you're seeing who are being self-reliant, who are doing things on their own, who are teaching themselves to do things for themselves and not constantly damseling it out and saying, oh my gosh, my car is busted, instead of saying, okay, maybe I can fix this because I don't have much money and maybe I need to learn how to do this. That's, it's little things like that show up. When you see people being strong and capable and you find that you admire them, you want to be more like them. There are major changes that have happened in our society, especially with, a lot of immigrants coming into our society. And, there are a lot of other societies in the world, a lot of other cultures where all they see are just people that look exactly the same. But ours is sort of a melting pot. We have a lot of melting pot sort of cultures in the West. And it didn't happen overnight. It happened as we started to normalize and say, you know what, this is okay. It's totally fine. These are people just like us. And it's that kind of mentality that will change things. But that's just my opinion. It's something that you have to normalize over many, many years. And it'll happen. It'll be fine. That's just me.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, mothers have a huge role to play in this kind of thing, and I think mothers on the whole are going in the exact opposite direction they need to go, both with their daughters and their sons. I'm an advocate for the raised by wolves form of parenting, right, where you really don't start to wonder where your kid is until it's dark out. That your kids, if your kid leaves at 8 o'clock in the morning and during summer holidays goes off on his bike and doesn't come home until 7, right? Then that's okay. That because frankly, we are living in a safer society than I was when I was a kid and I did all of those things, right? My mother never worried in that regard. My mother was never worried in that regard. And the one time I was actually, I picked a fight with a bully. He was picking on a friend of mine. He wouldn't stop, so I cold cocked him. And he pounded the snot out of me. And when I went home to my mom with my face all bloody and swollen, she got out the rubbing alcohol and said, well, what did you think was going to happen? These are the things that we really need to these are the things we normally let our boys know, right? Or at least when I was a kid, you would absolutely tell your boy, well, you cold cocked a bully. What did you think was going to happen? a kid twice your size, and you like punched him in the temple when he wasn't looking. Like, what were you thinking, and what did you think was going to happen? These are the things, these are the lessons that we need to be teaching our girls too, right? Words can't kill you. Even a punch to the face, probably not going to kill you. You know, skinning your knee, probably not going to kill you. Falling out of the shopping cart, probably not going to kill you. You know, like falling off the swings, probably not going to kill you. And what we have now in our society is this atrocious society where my daughter, you know, she's in elementary school, she's in grade, I think, 4, and they're sledding on the 1 week of snow we had a year on North Vancouver Island. They're sledding down the access ramp for the lawnmower for the soccer field, and of course it slopes away and there's trees on either side, and she ended up going off the ramp and down the side, and her face had an altercation with a tree. And I get the call at lunch hour, you know, your daughter, she's been hurt, and, you know, can you come pick her up? And I go and I see her, and she's all barked up. Her face is all like mangled. And I'm like, what's the other guy look like? What's the tree look like? You know, tell me, you beat the shit out of that tree. And she says, no, the tree's fine. And I go in, I made a point of going into the office and saying, you don't have anything to worry about from me, right? You really don't. Kids hurt themselves. They learn their lesson, and there's just like, she's got a barked up face. It's fine. Please don't worry. Next day, sledding banned. Sledding was banned at her school.
Huh.
And
that's so typical.
It absolutely is. And it just sickens me, right? Because we're not even letting kids be kids. Like, I remember, you know, like you watch Family Guy, Peter Griffin, right? Running down the sidewalk, he falls down, he skins his knee, and he does the thing for like 5 minutes until it cuts to commercial, right? I remember doing that when I was a kid, right? But we want to wrap our kids in bubble wrap or something. That's not going to help them cope with the world, right? And we do it way more to our girls than we do with our boys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Something
Also,
else that we do to our girls more than we do to our boys, and this is the thing I wanted to speak to, is we provide for their wants instead of giving girls a chance to, as they grow and develop, learn to provide for their own wants. So, like, and this is something, you know, when I was a kid, I started working early. You know, I started doing little chores for the family business, not real, you know, employment work and stuff like that. But I started earning money when I was 11 years old, a little bit at a time. Now, my parents let me work for the business because they didn't want me to get a paper route. A paper route was what the boys in the neighborhood did, but it was the same principle. I did work, I earned money, and I placed a value on that money that was different than I would have placed on it if someone had just handed me some money and said, here, you know, go spend this on stuff you want. And I budgeted differently because of that, because I worked for that money. And most of the girls that I grew up with had an allowance. You know, and some of them, it was based on their grades. You know, you got more of an allowance if you got straight A's, and you got less of an allowance if you got lower grades, and if you got failing grades, you got nothing. But for the most part, most of them got something every week or every month or whatever from their parents, whether they did anything for it or not. And I think it made a difference in their approach to problem solving and to acquiring things they wanted or needed that they, you know, weren't going to go to their parents for necessarily, because they had to work for it. And part of what that did for me as I got older, when I dealt with, you know, my family's financial situation being messed up because of the child support situation and the divorce situation and everything, it was a no-brainer for me to just go get another job. I didn't even think about that very much. We figured out very quickly that was what was needed, and I just did it. And I think it would have been different if I had not grown up with that work ethic. I think a lot of people make a good point to teach their sons a work ethic and to teach their sons, if you want something, you make sure you go get it, you earn it, you earn the money to buy it, you create it, whatever. But they're not as adamant about making sure their daughters have that understanding as well. And I think that's one of the things that's really needed.
I just wanted to get one last thing in too, because like I said, I think this is a fairly modern thing with helicopter parenting and providing your kids with everything, the little ingrateful bastards that they are. That you just that this is really sort of a new phenomenon. 100 years ago, we were putting 3-year-old kids in fields to pick cotton for 10 hours a day, right? Like, and some of those kids were girls. There was an article on the Spearhead, which at that time, the time the article was published, I think the article was by Jack Donovan, who is a hyper-masculine gay man. It was called Country Women, the Manly Woman of Honor. And how much he appreciated, I think he said he was talking about how he worked repairing fitness equipment and stuff like that, and how he appreciated being called out into the country to fix some treadmill somewhere, and how the woman of the house would be totally willing to help him lug shit to the barn, right? Would be like that these particular women, these are old school women, right? It's almost like we are raising our daughters to be a member of the aristocracy, the old school aristocracy. We are not raising any manly women of honor. We are not raising any farmers' daughters, right? Coal miners' daughters, survivors. We're not raising any of these women who can really just persist and persevere and get on with life and get on with it. And we're not raising any of those girls anymore. We're raising girls who want to be pampered. They want to be purchased things. They want to have the designer jeans just like their friends. They want to have a cell phone. Not an iPhone 5, but an iPhone 6. They want to have all of this stuff. They want to have it provided for them, and we're doing it. We are giving them that life. And to some extent, we're also starting to give our sons that life. And it does not prepare them for hardship. It doesn't prepare them for adversity. It does not prepare them for difficulty. And it's really sad to see us going that way, raising our children, to just not ever to bemoan a skin knee, or broken front teeth. Two of my kids have broken front teeth.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to just add to try to clarify what I was saying about how games socialize people and specifically women. In a game, if you lose, you only have yourself to blame, and no one is going to come save you. This process instills a mentality that's the exact opposite of damseling. Of course, unless you're Anita Sarkeesian, who seems to be dead set on bringing damseling into gaming, into making it a big part of gaming. But I wanted to just put a mention to Brian Martinez, who asked, what can we do to help close the empathy gap with regards to men and boys? I believe personally that the only people who can close the empathy gap are women. And this is a responsibility that women have to take on. Because if it's men who try to close the empathy gap, you can't close it because it's still men having empathy for men. It's women who have to start having empathy for women. And I believe that the only way that that's going to happen is if women let go of their socialization to see themselves as victims and to damsel. I think as soon as women embrace, and again, that ties back into the gaming, what gaming teaches us. As soon as women embrace an identity based on what they do and what they achieve, rather than what they are and what happens to them, I think they will discover their compassion for men. Because you really can't feel compassion until you yourself are strong, or you perceive yourself as being strong, and perceive yourself in terms of your actions and the ability to take action to help and protect other people. With great strength comes great responsibility. Anyway, I'll throw it out to James, what has been waiting patiently. So go ahead, James.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the two key words here are natural consequences. And yeah, to some degree, I think we have been shielding our children from natural consequences. We do this as a result of our love for our children. But there is a very large difference between how we shield young men from these consequences and how we shield young women. And indeed, once consequences ensue, and in some cases are never the same, we provide different support systems for each of their genders. So a young woman will go through her life and will be shielded more from the consequences of her actions. And if, by chance, she ends up slipping through the cracks and has to face some dire hardship, there are more support systems put in place to help her deal with the consequences of her actions. This is not true with men. I think the way in which we allow women to have all the agency in the world is to remove those safety nets. Extending them to young men won't work. I agree with Karen. Extending them to young men will not work. You end up bankrupting countries by doing that. In fact, look at our welfare state right now. Look at our entitlement spending. We are shielding people from natural consequences by having a lot of these programs set in place. And while I don't necessarily want to, label it as a idea of good or bad, I will say that if we keep on extending these types of programs, we are going to run into even more dire straits, and the next generation will certainly not be prepared for a means of survival, much less an idea of what real achievement and accomplishment is. They will be dead on the inside, never having had to face any real hardship.
Agreed. It's not about what's good or bad, or what's compassionate or not compassionate, or what's moral or immoral or amoral. It's about what society can afford and what it can't. And I don't know that there has been an era of deficit spending, consistent deficit spending on the part of government, like there has been over the last 50 years. Everywhere in the West, every single Western country has been spending money it does not have to provide certain things for their citizenry that don't provide a compensatory benefit. And I'm not talking about looking after the disabled. I'm not talking about looking after stuff like that. Things
Karen. I'm sorry. We need to move on to other questions. We've got so many more.
All right.
What?
Well, the reality is that I don't think it's necessary to get every question in.
I know, but I mean, if we've gone on for so long with this one.
Yeah. We have gone on quite a ways for this one.
Okay, here. This is a quick one. Who is your favorite pony? I'm thinking they're referring to My Little Pony. Pinkie Pie, Allison, yours.
I would say I do like Fluttershy.
Oh, okay, Crystal. Crystal, wake up. Who's your favorite pony?
You know what? I think this might be too silly a question for this crowd. I mean, it's
all right, Karen.
I don't
Karen.
even know from ponies. So
yeah, she doesn't know from ponies, and it's really hard to come
All
up with
right,
a-
James, what's your favorite pony?
Sorry, I don't watch the show. I couldn't tell you.
Okay, fine. Okay, we've got actually other questions, which are a little more serious. There was one about Gamergate. And this is a little bit long, so I'm going to try and summarize. As a female gamer trying to be involved with Gamergate and being anti-feminist in general, I desperately want to engage all the comments I see, usually male feminists, about how women who support Gamergate are dumb, brainwashed, or trying to impress men. But it seems like holding that belief in the first place makes them immune to argument, as anything I say can be dismissed as poor little me, just not knowing what I'm talking about, or just trying to fit in with the boys. I know it's obvious how their attitude is misogynistic by their own definitions, and that seems like it should be easy to make them see, but they're just so impossible to communicate with. You guys deal with this and worse much more often, so I guess I'm just wondering, how do you stay sane? Do I just not feed the trolls, make points against them, but not directly at them, pretend they're talking koalas? I really want to be involved, but I feel like maybe I'm getting much too angry at faceless usernames to really be smart about it.
Can I field that one?
Yes.
I would suggest that you realize that these guys are basically the exact opposite of what they say they are. They want to put you in a box. They want you to stay in that little box. They want you to agree with them that you are a victim and that your primary attribute as a woman is being acted upon in order so that they can feel powerful.
that's it. That's exactly it.
So,
There's nothing that makes a weak man feel strong better than the feminist narrative.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, what? Oh, go on, Allison, finish.
Okay, so it's like you don't at some point you just have to recognize that they just want to put you in a box. So don't, and it's anger inducing because I think you're invested in, or possibly, this is my opinion, not to put words in your mouth, but when you're faced with these guys, you actually honestly believe that they give a shit about women. They don't. Feminist men in general don't seem to give a shit about women. I've argued for years that what they do is bad for men. They don't care. Okay, fair enough. I started to argue what you're doing, presenting women as victims, as being defined solely by acted upon, is also toxic for women. It's a toxic mentality to encourage in women. They don't care. They absolutely do not care what they do to women as long as they get their hit of power, of this sense of being, dare I say, macho.
That's sweet patriarchy.
Yeah, it's
gosh.
Like sweet sense of omnipotence. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit that they're making you feel small and insignificant, and they're making you feel weak and voiceless. They don't
Actually,
give a
I think that's their goal.
I don't give a shit that they're slamming you into a little box. These men don't care. What they care about, what they care about is sucking away your sense of self so they can inflate themselves.
I would say that there's no way you can actually talk to some of the anti-Gamergate feminists. I think the people you can talk to are the people on the fence about it who may not be informed about what's really going on. And beyond that, I don't think you can really reason with these folks. Sometimes it's very easy to get emotionally involved with this and to get really angry, but you have to understand that these people are not going to respond to that. And what they're doing is they're using those they're using those emotions to drive their narrative. They will use it as a weapon, and that's what they'll do. So don't give them anything. But what you can do is you can spread the proper information. You can spread around facts. There's a lot of things you can do. There are people that go around in Gamergate reporting troll accounts, people who are harassing, things like that. You can do that. You can continue to write those letters. there's so many things that you can do, but you don't necessarily have to go in and touch the poop. Don't touch the poop. So go on. So anybody else?
Did you just call male feminist poop?
No, that's what people are. That's some of the Gamergate lingo. When they say "don't touch the poop," they're saying do not engage. Do not engage with these people who are basically trying to poke the hornet's nest with a nice big pointy stick.
Yeah. Well, I just want to really quickly finish my thought.
Okay.
To this individual, Casey Riley. These are bullies, and nobody's going to protect you from them but you. So you have to take the necessary steps to remove their emotional control over you, and just badger on. Go ahead, Hannah.
Something else, and this has been it's been really effective in sort of raising morale through bonding. When people say shitty things to you, screenshot it and share it with Gamergate as yet another stupid thing and yet another stupid feminist said. And I can't stress that enough. This is something that we're all going through. Not all of us are going through it directly related to Gamergate. Some of us are, some of us aren't. But it is something that it helps to know that this kind of shit just falls on everybody, and that we're all in it together, and that it's not personal. It's their method, and what you're seeing is not necessarily an individual person's real opinion of you, but a projection of the ideology that they have espoused, and a projection of the attitude that goes with that ideology. And so it's not personal, but when you get it, document and share.
And I'd also add that this is an opportunity. You can also see it as an opportunity to just learn to deal with this kind of stuff. I mean, it's not often that women just get an unvarnished opportunity to deal with shit and learn to just take it upon yourself to become stronger, to remove whatever the emotional, I don't want to use the word trigger, but I guess that's the best word in this case. Whatever is triggering you emotionally about what these people say, look inside yourself and see where you can resolve it. So the next time they come up with it again, you just skate past it like, blah, whatever.
I would actually agree with that. I would say that one of the most valuable things that you can do as somebody in, arguing the counterintuitive point, because frankly, feminism is highly intuitive. It's highly emotional. It goes with where our feelings want to take us. When you're arguing against that, taking the completely dispassionate stance is extremely helpful, and you can actually just logic your way in, around, through, all over. You can take a logic crap all over somebody's argument, some male feminist, and they get furious. They get personal. They will attack you personally, and every time they do that, they leave a comment where they're attacking you personally because you proved a point, or you tripped them up on a point of logic, or you did this, did that, you hit them in a soft spot very dispassionately, right? Every time they respond with some kind of horrible personal attack on you, especially if you're a woman, right? They're not making themselves look good. They're really not.
Nope.
Not the outside observers.
I think that we probably can't take any more questions. Maybe one really quickly. Badgers, do you think that, this is again from Brian Martinez, do you think that Gamergate is bringing people who may not understand men's issues and or the men's rights movement a better understanding of what it's about? Is it waking people to the toxicity of feminism and social justice? Yes.
Yes. Yes, double yes.
I believe so. I actually have even more extensive thoughts about what Gamergate is and where it's going, but that's a discussion for another day.
That's a story for another time.
Yeah. Leave you with that. But before we do our thank yous and goodbyes, and our open mouthed lesbian kisses.
What?
Well, oh, sorry.
Oh, who said there was going to be lesbian kisses? I didn't brush my teeth. What the hell?
We'll go do it quickly while I'm doing this. So,
what's your breath smell like, Karen?
it
Smells like wine and rage.
Well, that's disinfected enough.
We
All right.
should capture that in a bottle and sell it as a perfume.
Mm.
Badger perfume, wine and rage. But before we go, if you're listening and you've come this far with us, consider coming a little further and helping us out promoting this message and getting it to a wider audience. By that I mean consider donating. If you want to help us with our budgeting, please consider donating Patreon. You don't have to donate a lot. Just whatever's comfortable. A monthly donation or a per episode donation of whatever you feel is comfortable really helps us to budget what we can afford on a monthly basis, and which helps us budget for advertising and other promotional expenses. And it really does help out. So, but do remember, if you do become one of our patrons, you want to make sure that you set the monthly limit that you feel comfortable with, because we do quite a few episodes a month. And if you are a current patron, please do make sure that your monthly limit is set at an amount that you find comfortable. And if you want to give a one-time donation and you don't want to be a patron with a reoccurring donation, don't become a patron. Just donate to our PayPal account. And you can donate, there's a button on our website, or you can donate directly to honeybadgers with an S radio@gmail.com. Or if you do want to become a patron, and once again, I please do put that monthly amount up to whatever you are comfortable with. It is www.patreon, that's patreon/honeybadgerradio. And every bit helps. And once again, it does really help us with to have a monthly budget.
Helps us spread our evil across the land. Right?
Yeah, it does. It does help us with promotional costs. And
We can spread our evil. We need to spread
we can spread our evil like the legs of something.
Our misogyny.
Our misogyny. Okay.
Like the legs of a 40-year-old cheerleader?
Damn it,
like the
Karen.
legs of
Oh gosh,
oh God, yuck!
like the legs of a pestilent spider of patriarchy. Patriarchy spider. Yes, a pestilent patriarchy spider.
The patriarchy spider. Okay, well, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank. I know usually Rachel does this, but I'll do it today because what the fuck is going on anymore? I want to thank my co-hosts, Hannah Wallen, Rachel Edwards, Crystal Garcia, Karen Strawn, as always. Thank you, and thank you to James for doing the radio show. I want to thank Phil for always doing the ads. Oh, well, mostly this always doing that. Well, actually, I guess not always doing an ad, but like doing the ads about 75% of the time.
Get your shit together, Hannah. I mean, Allison.
What am I muttering?
You're just muttering.
Okay, I'm muttering. All right, so thank you to everybody who volunteers. Thank you to all of our patrons. Thank you to all of our listeners. Thank you to everybody who makes comments on our website. Thank you to everyone who sends us emails. I do read them all. I'm a little bit backlogged at the moment because I was at a convention this weekend, and promoting Xenospora. And so thank you, and thank you for listening. And thanks for AVFM for putting us on the radio channel. And oh God, why do you talk bomb the freaking chat? Like, what is this? My asshole hurts? Why? Is there a reason?
I think James might have explosive diarrhea.
Oh my God, James.
Oh, for
Or
God.
perhaps he thinks you're kissing his butt so much that it hurts.
Okay.
No, it's from driving
All right, good
really
night,
slow
everybody.
in a super fast lane.
This is so bad. Like,
And
somebody
are we
puts this
saying-
fucking show out of its misery.